Hey, John.
Hey, Fred. How you doing, bud?
Good, bud. How are you?
Good to see you. I see by the setup that we're cooking today, or you're cooking today.
I'm cooking today. And you're going to be John's going to be welcome to another episode of Fred and John Talks. We're going to cook today.
Oh, boy.
With the main focus being on a program called Home Chef that I've been using for a year now, almost to the day. I started in February. Today's February 2nd, Groundhog Day. And
how did you discover Home Chef?
Great question. Last year, 2023, I spent the month of January with my brother Joe in Florida.
Okay.
And he got Home Chef. It's a home delivery meal service, which I will demonstrate how that comes. And the meals were so delicious, so plentiful, so tasty. When I got back from Florida in February, I signed up immediately, and I've been doing it ever since.
I hear you get a box about once a week. Like, is this the box that comes in?
Yes. Now there are choices.
Okay.
As to how frequently you get it. You can skip a week. You don't get penalized for skipping a week, you know. But there is a minimum that you have to order for the week.
Okay.
It's 2 meals and a certain price. But there's no maximum. Like if you had a family of 10, you know, you can really save a lot of money at the grocery store by getting this. Because I'll just say it now. I get, as a single man who lives alone, I order 2 meals per week.
I remember that, yeah.
But each meal has 2 helpings.
And there's separate recipes too.
Yeah, separate two separate recipes.
Mm-hmm.
And each recipe has 2 servings, sometimes 3.
Whoa. As
I was telling you when we were talking privately, I sometimes freeze it, and that's great because that I have more food in my refrigerator than I know what to do with. So, you know, it's a bonus.
With inflation and the cost of food, that's an interesting idea.
And I've noticed, it's plain as the nose on your face, that when I go to the grocery store, and especially how expensive groceries are now, I keep the cost way down. So let's get started.
Okay, good. I'm going to do some camera work.
You can do some camera work.
I'll be back.
And we'll hear from John intermittently. Let's start with then what this looks like. This is delivered to me in this box every Tuesday. Can you see it?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And like I said, it has 2 meals that come in it. Each meal has 2 servings. And it is delivered with an ice pack that keeps it fresh. There are times when I'm out during the day on Tuesday and it's been sitting on my porch for a couple hours, but it's kept fresh. And it's called Home Chef. And this is this is 1 meal. Now, 1 meal I'm already worked on today. This is the 2nd meal. I have yet to cook this. This is, and I want to demonstrate these glasses, by the way, because talking about paraphernalia and having all good stuff, you notice I always wear my apron because it's a messy enterprise, and the messier, the more fun. So for those of you who need reading glasses, who are in John and I's age range.
Anybody over 40.
Instead of, here, let me demonstrate this. Instead of using and I love these glasses for my reading, instead of going like this and this and this the whole time, I discovered these. They're called clicks. They can hang around your neck when you're not using them, and they're magnetized, and so you can just go like this.
Bingo.
The way I discovered them was I had a handyman come to my house about a year ago, and he was working on some stuff, and he had these around his neck, and when he went to put them on his nose, I said, wow, I've never seen anything like that before. And he said, oh, these are great. You got to get a pair. They're called Clicks. And I've been using these, especially for my cooking, so I can just go from my neck to my nose. Okay, so this meal, let me get my glasses. This meal, which I have yet to cook, we're not cooking this today, we're cooking another meal, is Philly style cheesecake quesadillas.
Whoa.
Yeah, can't wait to cook that. And it comes in 2 packages. One has the meat,
Okay, yeah.
the Philly steak, and one has the paraphernalia, the spices, the vegetables, the bread, or whatever you call it. It's not thick bread, it's thin bread.
Looks like naan. Looks
Yeah,
like naan.
the cheese. And so the first thing I do, I'm not going to actually demonstrate it now, is I unseal this. And I empty it out onto the counter, and I put it all face up because the spices, it's all named. You know, this is your spice, this is your type of cheese, you know, these are your vegetables. And it comes with a 2-sided instructions. On the first side, it pictures the meal, and it tells you what is included in the packet, what you'll need. For example, pans. Now this is getting old. I've been using this a long time. I'm getting ready to update my pots and pans because I've been using them so much.
You use a lot of non-stick cookware, right?
Non-stick cookware, yeah. So it tells you everything you need to know. It tells you everything that's in the package. And it tells you, in this case, non-stick pans, but also trays that you line with aluminum foil to cook different things in the oven. That's part of the meal. And then on the other side are the instructions, step-by-step instructions. And it starts with the very important, wash your hands.
Better do it.
And moreover, after you've handled raw meat, wash your hands again before you go on with the recipe. Let's see. When it comes to washing the vegetables, the other instructions is, let me get my glasses again. So it always says, wash hands thoroughly with soap and warm water before cooking and after handling raw meat. Remove all produce from any packaging or constraints, then thoroughly rinse and pat dry. And I use this, it's called Rebel Green Fruit and Veggie Clean. It's a spray. I put the veggies, like for today's meal, it had carrots, cauliflower, and peas. I put them in a colander, I spray them with this, and then I rinse them with cold water. This is a good product to have because there's a lot of food poisoning, you'd be surprised. So it's good to take precautions. And then it has step-by-step instructions. It has a difficulty level, prep and cook time. This recipe happens to be an easy one, 15 minutes prep and cook time. So there it is. Okay.
So what are you going to get into today?
Today, we're making garlic, sesame, turkey, and cauliflower stir fry. I have elsewhere the recipe for the Philly cheesesteak, I wanted to use this so you can see. I love the names. They're very creative. And it's not just a selling point. It really describes a delicious meal. Garlic, sesame, turkey, and cauliflower stir fry. Now, I cheated today in the interest of time. And if you want to pan over here.
Oh, you've got it already ready. And this needs to be heated up.
It just needs to be heated up.
Bring it up to the close-up, Fred.
And then we'll plate the dish. Tell me when you've got it.
A little closer. That's good, okay.
Okay, so I did all of the meal prep off camera because then it would be too long of an episode to, be a good video. So we're just going to heat this up a little bit. Put it on low simmer. And then we're going to plate what they call in the instructions. The last instructions are always plate the dish as pictured on the front of the card. Garnishing with peanuts and sesame seeds. Now, let me say a word about that. I talked about implements, and this is not an exhaustive list, but kitchen utensils. Can you see that?
Yes, sir.
A good set of knives. Can you see that?
Yes, sir. You got a large and small knife, right?
Yes, I do. The small knife is a paring knife. And I didn't even know what a paring knife, the definition of it was, but I looked it up. Let me hold it up and read this to you. A paring knife is basically a chef's mini knife with a small blade that offers greater versatility and precision. While the chef's knife works for cutting hard vegetables, paring knives are great for peeling apples and potatoes, mincing small amounts of garlic and onions, and coring tomatoes. So that's a really cool implement to have, even though you can't see the drawers behind here, even though I have a potato peeler, even though I have a thing that cores apples. Mm-hmm. Can you see that?
Yes.
Yeah. I have a hand grater for cheese and other things. I have a digital thermometer because it's very important. This also avoids food poisoning. When you're cooking meat, you stick this into the meat, and the instructions say the meat is ready when it's at least 145 degrees, 165 degrees, typically with large steaks. So
there's usually a description about the temperature the meat has to reach.
That's correct.
To be safe, yeah.
So other obvious things are, measuring spoons, right?
Yeah.
So you get the general idea. But I want to say a word about this, and I'm having a senior moment, and I forget what this is called. But part of today's episode, what we're garnishing it with is peanuts. And as you can see, these are chopped up, but they were whole peanuts. They came as a bag of whole peanuts, but instead of cutting them, which takes forever, I take my I'll call it the crusher, or the hammer. Can you see that?
Yeah, I think it's a food mallet. I think they call it a food mallet.
Food mallet. Thank you, John. And there you have it. As long as you don't hit it too hard and break the bag, this is a great tool. Voila. Okay, so let's plate the dish. And John and I are going to do a taste test. Let me get this out of the way. And then I have a bonus part of the video which entails cooking also. and we think you're going to like it. All right, so John, come on over, buddy. When you feel you have the camera fully ready. Can you see what I'm doing?
Yes. Okay. So you're putting the garlic, turkey.
I'm putting the whole recipe. This includes the vegetables and the turkey. Now look, remember I said you can get 2 helpings out of this? I could put less on here because this is a lot. This is a big helping.
That is a lot. Yeah.
And I can get 3 out of this.
Yes.
3 meals.
I can see that.
That's where it comes in as it's really worth the money. Now you do spend, you gotta pay money for this, but for 1 year, this is February 2nd, and maybe I'm repeating myself, but I've been at this for 1 year because I spent the month of January with my brother Joe in Florida. He introduced me to Home Chef. When I came back in February of 2023, I immediately signed up. So here we are in February. It's my 1 year anniversary as a Home Chef. Ta-da!
Ta-da!
Yeah. Now, got to have a good pair of scissors too, because there's a lot of packages to open. So here we go. We're going to garnish, and you don't use the whole thing because you have another helping. So you garnish with about maybe half of these peanuts, right? Like that. And then you garnish. Notice there's 2 packs of this. These are multicolor sesame seeds. Thus, the recipe: garlic, sesame, turkey, and cauliflower stir fry. So you just cut one of these, you save this for the other portion, and you scatter the garlic seeds on the plate. Okay.
Voila.
Let me get a couple of nice tablespoons. And John, if you're ready to join me, we will do a demonstration.
Can hardly wait.
Age before beauty. Make sure you get some of the garnish on now.
Okay.
The sesame seeds and the peanuts. Unless you're averse to peanuts.
Oh. Flavorful. Not too salty, just nice. It's nice.
You said the magic word, which I left out. What hooked me on this at my brother Joe's house were the spices.
Oh.
Spices are the key to good cooking.
Yummy.
Now I could eat this whole thing because it is almost 12 o'clock in the afternoon, and I purposely didn't eat today so I can enjoy our Home Chef meal.
But you told me you have a surprise too.
I do. Let's take another bite and then we'll go to part 2 of this video.
Let's stay with part 1. I like it.
All right. Let's put that aside. So I don't talk with my mouth full. Give me a minute. I forgot to mention, I was told by a friend of mine who is a really good cook, my friend Patty, and I asked her, I said, is using salt and pepper shakers okay for being a good cook? And she said, oh no, get these where you turn it up, and you grind it.
Yes, that's what I've heard the same thing, Fred.
This is sea salt. You grind it, and the taste difference is enormous. With the Home Chef, and for me, even when I'm cooking other things, my kids used to make fun of me because I put extra virgin olive oil on a lot of my foods, including my eggs and other foods. But for Home Chef, they always have you put in the pan olive oil. And if you want to skip the olive oil for some things, use an olive oil spray, like the Pam brand. This is olive oil spray. Okay, let's switch gears.
So what's this bonus all about, Fred?
It's about cooking a good steak.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so we're going to move these around. The reason why I'm doing this is to have a bonus cooking. This is not a home chef thing, but is to say that there's a particular diet that some friends of mine introduced to me that entails eating a lot of meat and even fats, and people lose weight on this diet. I won't mention the diet because I'm not approved by the company to advertise them. But the first thing I want to do is the steak I'm cooking today is New York strip steak thin. Now, I typically like the New York strip steak thick, but they have this thing at Walmart. When the expiration date is approaching, the price, this was originally $20 and it came down to, $15. And you can tell by the yellow sticker. Now, I'll give you a tip. The tip to being the first to get these, because by the afternoon they're gone, is to go like 7 o'clock in the morning to the Walmart meat section. And Walmart sells good meats. Okay, so we're cooking New York strip steak thin.
So the early bird gets the steak.
The early bird gets the steak. Now, best way to cook steak that I've read, somebody else can prove me wrong and you're welcome to it, but is in a cast iron skillet. Can you see what I've prepared here?
Sure can. Yep, sure can.
Okay. And I put salt and pepper on both sides. To grease the pan, I use both the olive oil spray and butter. Now, if you can see this, John, do you have a close-up? I put thin slices of butter on the steak.
Oh, on each piece of steak.
On each piece of steak. The flavor is, as my mother used to say, out of this world. Okay, so we're going to put this on, and we're doing this in real time. We're going to put this on.
You put high temperature up
I
to start with?
I put it kind of medium to medium high.
Okay.
And the reason I do that with a thin steak is this can cook too fast and you can overcook it.
Okay.
Someone once told me, I did not know this, that when you're cooking something and then you turn off the heat, oh my God, I'm sorry. I'm sorry if I'm spitting out food. That's part of being a chef.
It's messy.
It's messy. Which reminds me of an old comic strip before I continue. If you've ever heard of Hagar the Horrible, Hagar was a buffoon of a Viking. He was a Viking. And his wife's name was Helga. So it was Hagar and Helga. And I'll never forget this one comic strip, this one day. He's eating a bowl of pasta and he's making a mess of it. He's eating like a Viking. It's not dainty eating. And the caption says, "Life is like spaghetti. It's messy, but it's so good." Yeah. Okay. So we have this on. We have it on medium. And what I do is I put a top over it. I don't have a fitted top for my cast iron thing. Maybe I'll look it up on Amazon and see if it comes with one. I put a top on it to keep the heat in because it cooks better.
What about the keeping it more moist and maybe tender? I don't know.
That the butter
helps with that.
The olive oil spray.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's a great question, John, because sometimes
the juices may stay in better.
Yes, because sometimes when I flip the steak over, I add more butter.
Okay.
Now, that's kind of counterintuitive. People would think, what are you trying to fatten me up? But I'm a living example of this diet I mentioned, but I didn't mention the name of. I went from 190 before doing this style of cooking, being a carnivore and having less carbs, less vegetables and fruits. I went from 190. This morning I got on the scale 182. And my ideal weight that I'm shooting for is to stay between 180 and 185, and cooking this way and eating this way has been successful. So the proof is in the pudding. Now, if you have a cholesterol problem or you go to your doctor, like I'm curious the next time I have my regular checkup with my doctor, what my cholesterol is going to look like. And if it's affecting my cholesterol, I'm going to make adjustments. But for now, this is working for me. All right. Now, I mentioned before, I have the meat thermometer. It's digital. And so as this cooks, I am going to, toward the end, put this inside the steak and read the digital readout. It should be, with a thin steak, about 145 degrees.
I hear it sizzling, Fred.
Yeah. Now another thing, while we're waiting for it to cook, I saw this on a YouTube program, and I went out and bought one. I use it for hamburgers. I use it when I make grilled cheese sandwiches. I use it when I make steaks. You press down on it, and it creates those lines, just like when you grill outside.
Okay.
Creates those lines, and it helps it along. It helps it, to cook when you press down. I'll demonstrate that in a minute. So let's get out another one of my favorite tools. Do you know what they call these?
Are they tongs?
Tongs. Thank you.
You don't use your fingers to turn over the steak.
No, I don't. You can use, and I got this out, you can use a large fork. All right, let's see how we're doing here. We're doing good. We're turning it over now, and now I am going to add a little bit of butter. Just give me a second here. Just a little bit more. I'm not going to overdo it. And this is my strategy. Have my butter and just thin strips. Thin strips. I'm not talking about using the whole butter patty. This very small piece just needs one. This large piece, I'm going to put a little more on. Whoops. Oh, that's lost. All right. Can you see that, John?
Yeah, I've got it in I've got it in view. Yep.
Okay. Now, as that butter melts, then you're going to see me use the crusher. That butter is going to melt fast because this is hot. Hot stuff. Give me a second. What did I just say, John? What expression did I just use? Hot stuff.
Hot stuff. Your hot stuff. Oh yeah.
Get a close up of that. That's one of my kitchen towels. Hot stuff. Somebody once said to me, "Oh no, you said to me." Is that about the food or about you, Fred? And
Exactly.
I said, it's about me.
About both.
Okay, now zero in for the crusher.
Just putting some mild pressure on it.
Mild pressure. I'm gonna have to turn these over one more time because over here it's still quite pink. In fact, it's red. Oh, it's time to turn them over. Look at that, folks. That's what this accomplished by pressing down on it. You see the lines?
Yeah.
Okay. Now another good thing about the crusher is it crushes down on the fatty pieces around the edge of the steak. And according to this diet, and I've lost a lot of pounds on it, and so have my friends who introduced me to it, eat the fat. Now I'm not talking about a lot of fat. You want to trim some off. For example, in the large New York strip, in the large ribeye, there might be a lot of fat on there. I'm not advocating that you eat all that fat, but some of it. Okay, so in a minute we're going to put the thermometer in there. And then I'm going to show you what the digital readout is. And that should do it because these are thin.
You don't want to overcook them.
We don't want to overcook them, that's right. All right. John, let's see how we're doing here. Oh.
129, 130,
They're done.
150.
Well, it's going down now because I took it out, but it was up to 160.
Oh, okay.
Here.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, let's take it off. Now, to wrap up the session, we are going to take a morsel of New York strip fin steak.
I'm ready for it.
All right, John, get us both in the camera. Let's put this, can you set up the camera to see us over here?
That's good. Yep.
You got it?
That works. Oh boy.
Take your weapon. Let me put on my click glasses so I can see what I'm doing.
Click away.
All right. All right, let's split this piece, shall we?
Sure.
Now you got to blow on it. This is right off the
right off the griddle.
Right off the griddle. Okay. A little chewy. That's why I like the thick steaks.
Mine has some fat on it. It's quite good.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. One thing I do with this sea salt and the grinder is I err on the side of putting less because you can always add more later. If you put too much on at first, I've done this before. If you put too much on at first, you can't take it out after that. It's too salty. I'm going to have one more piece. I don't know about you. I'm going to have one more piece with some salt on it.
I like salt on my steak. That's
Okay.
good.
All right. Let's do this one more time and then we'll sign off. All right, buddy. Have at it.
Go for it.
On the count of three.
1.
1, 2, 3.
Mmm.
Mmm. Mmm.
I like it.
One last note. I didn't do it this time, but off camera, when I sit down to eat this steak, I'm gonna put on some extra pepper, also grinded pepper. I read an article years ago about master chefs, and they were talking about their favorite spices, and they did a survey of all these great chefs, and they said, what is your most go-to spice? You know what it was?
Pepper.
Pepper. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching Fred and John Talks. As we always say, we love what we do. We are the best of friends. We have many more episodes in the pipeline. Please, if you like what you see and hear, spread the word, watch the videos. We have a lot of other videos. We're up to almost 50 now. And, share it with your friends if you like it.
Fred and John Talks. Ciao for now.
Ciao. Bon appetit.
Bon appetit.